All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Waha, Rakakadash. That is all praises to the Heavenly Father, meaning He, Yahweh, meaning He exists or He to be, in the name of His only begotten Son, who this world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, who will save us and free us of these mortal bodies. And thirdly, to the Rakakadash, which is the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, which teaches us all things and brings all things into our remembrance. All right, I'd like to give double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, those who rule well and who taught me this truth. Salutations to the brothers stiffly pushing this one truth out there, and shalom to the rest of the 1/3 remnant of men, women, and children who are the believers. All right, believing on these words. All right, this is your brother Rakaka Bar. All right, and I'm just back at you again. All right, with another quick update, touching on the third woe. All right, in the motb. Okay, just a quick update. All right, on how this the Most High is still moving these chess pieces. Okay, and he's still making this deal come to pass. All right. So what I want to do is I want to play this short video touching on the the third woe. Okay, what's been going on over there in Russia. All right, what Babylon is doing about it. Okay, and how the Most High is setting the stage. Okay, for all hell to break loose. Okay, he's setting the stage for that third woe. All right, that scriptures speak about. Okay, to fully come to pass. All right, and we know there's been rumors of war. All right, Russia's doing this. Iran and Israel are doing this. Right, China is doing this. Okay, they have plans to do this to Taiwan and so on and so forth. Okay, we've been having all of these different rumors. Right, North Korea shooting off ballistic missiles. Right, China, testing hypersonic missiles. Right, you've been hearing all these things. Concerning nuclear activity. Right, in nuclear war games. Okay, as we've understand. Really at the start of this year, or Salakia, the start of last year, right? There was a lot of talk of, these different nations, okay, these different allied nations performing different war military drills together, right? You got Russia, right, who's ultimately allied with China, okay, and Iran, right? And when you understand the reason why their alliances are strengthening is because they're going to be the nations, the Most High is using for this third woe to destroy Babylon the Great. Okay. And while you had their alliances strengthening, right, you have, Babylon, which, America, okay, doing drills with Canada and, not China, I'm sorry, Japan and Australia, okay, and the different members of the NATO. Okay, so all these different nations, all right, that are allied with each other are beginning to do joint military drills. Okay, these nations have been testing different hypersonic, ballistic, nuclear missiles. Okay, you've been having Russia and China have gotten, they've been getting bolder and bolder as far as their talks of what they plan on doing. Okay, China. Right, they want to take control of the South China Sea. Okay, they want to annex Taiwan. Okay, you got Russia that's ready to ultimately annex Ukraine. Right, take Ukraine back. Okay, and all these different things. So what's been happening is you've been having Russia has been ultimately building up troops on the Ukrainian border. Okay, they've been building up troops on the Ukrainian border. Okay, and it's got to the point, where the tensions have increased so much. All right, that there's numerous articles going out how people fear that there's an impending war that's going to break out because of this. Okay, and ultimately, it's at the point now to where Babylon has actually started to respond. Okay, in a way that they've been sending troops. Okay, over to Europe. Okay, over to Europe. Okay. So I'm going to play this short video. All right. And then, I'm going to grab a couple articles, just, touching on this third woe, as well as an update on that, the mark of the beast. All right.
Satellite images show a buildup of Russian military activity at the Ukrainian border in recent weeks.
There is concern that Russia is actually getting ready to invade its smaller neighbor. The Kremlin denies this.
Мы, как подчеркнул президент Путин, не хотим никаких конфликтов.
But US intelligence revealed that Moscow has drawn up plans for a military invasion of Ukraine that could involve around 175,000 troops as soon as next year.
In the meeting with Putin, I was very straightforward. If in fact he invades Ukraine, there will be severe consequences.
All right. Real quick, I want to grab this precept, okay? But you heard Biden said if, which, Biden ultimately the current king of Babylon right now, if you will, okay? He said that if Russia invades Ukraine, there's going to be severe consequences, right? Because why? This is that third woe, okay? But I want to grab this precept concerning Russia, okay? How they are returning, back to that Soviet Union state, okay, of mind, okay? And this is the reason why they're ultimately going to be the main, the main catalyst, along with, China and Iran and North Korea, that is going to be the main ones to initiate this war, okay, against Babylon, okay? Now, let's see if I can grab this precept. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 4, okay? And this chapter goes into this third woe, okay? All right, let's see here. Go back. Bear with me one moment. All right. It's Ezekiel chapter 38 and 3. It says, and say, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, okay? Now, the current, land of Magog and Gog, okay, is Russia, okay? So this is referring to Russia, okay? It says, and I will turn thee back, all right, and put hooks into thy jaw, all right? So the Most High is saying that he's going to turn Russia back, all right? Now, is he going to, turn the continent of Russia backwards? Okay, no. What this is referring to is that he's going to bring them back into that state of mind they were in during the Soviet Union, okay, during those days, okay? It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, all right, which the modern day swords and bucklers and shields, okay, is going to be these, these different nuclear weapons, okay? All right. But what the Most High is saying is he's going to turn them back to that vengeful state, okay, of war, okay, because these are the times that we're living in, all right? And this is the reason why aggressions have increased so much with Russia and Ukraine, okay, and while members of NATO and Babylon are starting to get involved, okay? You also have, the constant conflicts with Israel and Iran, okay? Like I mentioned, you have China with Taiwan, okay? China's trying to take control of the South China Sea, okay? So all these nations, okay, are beginning to make these moves, okay? These major moves, all right? All right. It says Persia, right, which is Iran, okay, modern day Iran, okay, because why? These countries that we're about to read, okay, they're going to be allied with Russia, okay? It says Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, okay? Those different Hamite African countries. All of them with shield and helmet, okay? Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. All right. So France. All right. Okay. And that's all I'm going to grab from there. Right. But nonetheless, okay, we're seeing how the Most High is gathering, okay, these nations. All right. So that he can assemble them for this third woe. All right. And he's using these nations, okay, to draw Babylon the Great, America out, okay? And this is exactly what's going on, okay? Matter of fact, we'll grab that precept and then I'll finish the video. All right. Okay. All right. This is Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 45. Again, another chapter going into this third woe. Right. It says, therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh, that he had taken against Babylon, which is America, and his purposes, that he had purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. All right. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Okay, so what we're reading, these are the purposes, right? The plan, the will of the Most High and what he wants to do as concerning Babylon the Great. Okay. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, right? Surely he shall make their habitation desolate, meaning destroyed with them. Okay. So the least of the flock, you know, in reference to these different nations, okay, would be your nations like, you know, Israel, right? And that conflict with Israel and Iran, okay, that's drawing, you know, Babylon out. Okay, Ukraine, all right, is a smaller nation that's drawing Babylon out. Okay, Taiwan, okay, smaller nation, weaker nation than China, that's drawing Babylon out. Okay, so you have all these smaller nations, right, that are drawing Babylon the Great out. Okay, drawing out these major nations. Okay, Babylon, you know, Russia and China. Okay, and assembling these nations to go to war against each other. Okay, so let's finish this video.
Ukraine has been trying to join Western organizations like NATO and the EU, but this is at odds with what Russia wants, which is to have influence over the country. The US and Russia have recently expelled diplomats over cybercrime and clashed over energy supplies and a migrant crisis on the border between Belarus and Poland.
After the summit between President Biden and President Putin in June, there was a glimmer of hope that the countries might set a different course. But again, there has been this struggle.
Here's how the clash between the US and Russia over Ukraine is worsening an already tense relationship. Russia invaded Ukraine and seized the Ukrainian peninsula of Crimea after the country staged a pro-Western revolution in 2014. Ever since then, Russian President Vladimir Putin has tried to prevent Ukraine's drift towards the West. Ukraine has for a long time wanted to join NATO, and Putin has voiced anger over the US and its allies' financial and military support of the country.
The Kremlin has made very clear that they feel that any kind of deployment of NATO troops in eastern Ukraine, which would be Russia's western borders, would be a threat. And for Russia, that is a red line.
Отдававшихся этих устных заверениях, что НАТО не будет расширяться на восток. Но все было сделано ровно наоборот.
The key question would be, especially in relation to the Russian buildup of troops on the border, how far will the US and NATO be willing to go in order to protect Ukraine?
While the US and NATO have no obligation to help Ukraine, the Biden administration has threatened serious sanctions against Russia and said it wouldn't tolerate another invasion like the one in 2014. Washington has also said it would help protect Ukraine's sovereignty, but pressed Kiev to reform internal issues like corruption. Tensions between Russia and the US have been building for a while. The US recently imposed sanctions and ordered the expulsion of more than 50 Russian diplomats by June 30th. Based on allegations of cyber attacks and US election interference. Moscow retaliated by doing the same, ordering the removal of several US embassy personnel from Russia by next year.
This is a kind of tit for tat, what they call mirror measures taken against the US, who they say has basically violated diplomatic norms. So there is definitely this back and forth, this diplomatic tug of war, if you wish.
In a call with Putin in December, Biden warned that if Russia made any moves in Ukraine, the US would prevent the completion of Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which Washington sees as a threat to European energy independence. The pipeline would transport natural gas from Russia to Europe and be a huge source of energy revenue for Moscow. Russia is a major exporter of gas to Europe, and an important channel runs through Belarus. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko recently threatened to disrupt that flow of energy after the EU imposed sanctions on the country over a migrant crisis in November on its border with Poland.
Мы обогреваем Европу, они нам угрожают еще, что они закроют границу. А если мы перекроем природный газ туда?
Western leaders have accused Russia of helping exacerbate the crisis, a claim that Moscow denies. Earlier on in Biden's presidency, Washington had wanted to establish a closer relationship with the Kremlin. But as tensions escalate over Ukraine, political analysts say the two aren't making much progress towards that goal.
A lot of it can boil down to the fact that, Russia feels that it has been ignored. Both countries have said, of course, we do not want this confrontation. But it seems as though a lot of the times it's one step forward, two steps back, as they each try to maintain influence and not want to be seen as the weaker between the two sides.
All right. And yeah, man, the fact of the matter is that, this thing is coming about regardless, all right? This third wall that the scriptures warned about in the book of Revelations, okay, is here. Okay, these things is here, okay? So let's see here. I'm going to grab a couple articles and we'll go ahead and close out. All right. You can just read the title of these articles, okay? These have just been released, okay? And the one I want to grab today, okay, reads, U.S. reinforcement troops to arrive in Romania more expected, right? Because the U.S. is starting to send troops over to Europe now, okay? It says Ukraine warns of full-scale war and tragedy in Europe if Russia attacks. Okay. It says Russia and China align against U.S. as they issue demands to Joe Biden, right? Because why? Russia and China, two major superpowers, okay, are in alliance, okay, to destroy Babylon the Great. Okay. Let's see here. It says first U.S. reinforcement troops for Europe arrive in Germany. Okay. And just, how these articles going out, how Babylon, as well as NATO, okay, they're starting to respond to the increasing aggressions. Okay. And these are great signs showing us, all right, that this thing's about to pop off. Okay. It's about to pop out. Right. And we understand that before the thermonuclear destruction of Babylon the Great, before that happens, okay, they will introduce, okay, the motb to the world, okay, and then the masses will begin to take that, okay, which is what this article, I want to touch on, okay, reading, the U.S. is considering a radical rethinking of the dollar for today's digital world, okay. I'm going to grab that as well, but let's go ahead and finish off as far as this third woe, okay, and then we'll touch on that. All right. But yeah, man, this article was released. All right. I believe today. Okay. It says U.S. reinforcement troops to arrive in Romania more expected. Okay. And I'm not going to grab all of it, but we'll just grab a couple. Right. It says United States troops relocating to Romania from Germany will reach the country on Wednesday night, Romania's defense ministry said, and will shield NATO's eastern flank from potential spillover from the Ukraine crisis, right? It says the United States is sending nearly 3,000 extra troops to Poland and Romania to bolster Eastern European defenses in Romania. It is relocating a Stryker squadron of U.S. service members from Wislik, Germany, okay? Let's see here. All right. It says France has also offered to be the lead nation of a future NATO mission in Romania, which could see about 1,000 troops from various countries. And a decision could be made at the next NATO defense ministers meeting in mid-February. All right. And understand, according to scriptures, okay, I believe in Revelations, the 17th chapter, all right, that even America's allies, okay, dealing with, the different members of NATO, okay, even some of the members of NATO are going to turn on America, okay, in these times, okay. Yeah, they're going to turn on America in these times. All right. And I even saw an article a while back, okay, how the members of NATO had said that, if there was ever to be a conflict between Russia and the U.S., that they would just, want to remain neutral. Okay. And the reason why, when you understand it, I mean, they're right. Russia, they're next door neighbors to Russia. Okay. So that's the whole reason why, NATO was created anyways, was because of, how Russia was during the days of the Soviet Union. Okay. They had fears that, they were going to, take over Europe. Okay. And so that's why that article had read how they want to remain neutral. Right. But understand that according to the prophecy, okay, even members of NATO are going to turn on Babylon the Great. Okay. And help in making this place desolate. All right. But yeah, man, that's all I need to grab from there. OK, you get the point. The point is that it's time. OK, it is time. All right. And as the elder apostles, and brothers at Great Millstone. All right. Have sent out the decree. OK, this is the year of the turn up. OK, so we are expecting major shifts. OK, and major things to happen. OK, and as we understand, this is, it's February now. OK, but our new year ultimately begins in the spring. OK, so around March, April. OK, that's the true new year. OK, when life, and birth takes place. OK, when you have the trees and nature and things spring forth. Right. That's the true new year. OK, it's not in the dead of winter. OK, it's not January 1st. That's not the true new year. OK, and, you remember back a couple years ago when this thing first really kicked off. OK, March 2020. OK, we'll never forget. OK, that was really, the turning point. OK, and things since March 2020 has just constantly and drastically have gotten devastatingly worse on the planet Earth. Okay, and things are not going to return to the state they were pre-March 2020. Okay, but yeah, man, when you understand it, okay, the new year, okay, not according to this Gregorian calendar, right? The new year begins in spring. Okay, so around March and April. Okay, so yeah, man, understand that a lot of big things are happening, okay, have been happening through the dead of winter, okay, what they deem dark winter, okay. Yeah, they've been running a lot of different things under the radar, okay. It's been a lot going on, right? But understand that we're at the point to where prophecies can't be disputed, okay, to the point to where everybody's going to see and realize the state that the world truly is in, okay. The time for the games and complacency is over. Okay, understand what's been going on, man. They've got down there most of the sheep, to take the jab. Okay, they got most of the sheep to take the jab. Okay, so you haven't, they're tightening the grip. Okay, a lot of people lost jobs and houses. Okay, a lot of people are not going to work, which is prophetic. Okay. You got all these prophetic things happening, right? The famine, okay, that they've warned about last year, okay, is steadily increasingly here, right? So all of these things, man, all right, are turning up, okay, and expect them to turn up, all right, to just an unseen level, okay, and these are the things we've been waiting for, okay, because these clearly show us the signs of the times, okay. So, yeah, man, I want to grab this last article and go in and close it out, right? It reads, the U.S. is considering a radical rethinking of the dollar for today's digital world, okay? And like I said, understand that MOTB will be introduced to the world now that they've ultimately groomed people with the jab, okay? So they've gotten people ready, to be a part of this beast system, okay? They've gotten their people are ready, okay? People are ready, right? But yeah, man, this article is going to show you just a quick update on that MOTB, right? It says, which was released a few days ago. It says, since its establishment as the country's national currency, the dollar has undergone many updates and changes, but nothing compares to the proposal being debated today. All right. And what do you think this proposal is going to be? All right. Well, read and find out, okay? It says the U.S. is gingerly considering whether to adopt a digital version of its currency, one better suited for today's increasingly cashless world, ushering in what could be one of the dollar's most fundamental transformations, man. And it's funny how they word these things, okay? Because they're telling you that this is going to be a cashless society, all right? We've been warning you and warning you and warning you, all right? They've been coming out, with the NFT, right? Facebook changed their name to Meta, all right? And are pursuing that whole, the digital world and all of those things, okay? Because this fourth industrial revolution, all right, it ultimately involves a switch to digital, a digital way of life, okay? And this is what we've been constantly warning you about, okay? It says, in that scenario, the U.S. would not only mint the coins and print paper bills, but also issue digital cash, okay? And yeah, they're going to tell you this so that people can, be okay with it, starting out. But they're not going to have, fiat currency, okay? The push is towards a digital cashless society, okay? And this is what we've constantly been telling you, right? It says, but also issue digital cash or a central bank digital currency that will be stored in apps or digital wallets on our smartphones. And what they're not going to tell you in this article is that that digital currency, man, is going to be stored on that motb, okay? We've constantly tell you, okay, you look up Bill Gates, the Microsoft patent 060606, okay? Research that, all right? You pay attention, to the different movies they put out and how they show you what they want to do with these different implants, okay? You research the trailer Implanted, okay? It literally deals with this MOTB, all right, and its functions, okay? And you look at, shows like Black Mirror, right? And all these different shows, man, they tell you what they're going to do before they do it because they have the power to do these things on the earth right now, okay? So what they're not going to tell you here is that it's going to be stored on that MOTB, okay? Take a look at Sweden, okay? Research Sweden, okay? And that the RFID, okay? Research these things because we're here, okay? And it's the time of being ignorant to what's going on, okay? It's time's up for that, okay, man. These are the times, all right, where they're about to introduce this MOTB, okay? This central bank digital currency that a lot of other nations have already developed, all right, and have begun testing out their very own, central bank digital currency, okay? And you can research that, all right? It says it's a vision of a cashless future that other countries are already embracing, okay? See? So like I said, man, you should research how different countries are developing their own central bank digital currency, okay? Why? Why is this? Because this is a global thing, okay? A global agenda, all right? It says China, for example, has unveiled the digital yuan on a trial basis. India this week said it would create a digital rupee, okay? It says now the U.S. is weighing whether it wants to get into the game, right? It says last month, the Federal Reserve released a much anticipated paper, all right? Much anticipated, laying out the advantages and disadvantages of a digital currency, all right? All right. Man, okay, and I'm not even gonna grab the whole article. Okay, we gathered the point. Okay, we've gathered the point. All right, because understand, all right, they didn't mention Europe. Okay, but Europe also is piloting the digital euro. Okay, different African countries have digital currencies in the making. Okay, so many countries are doing this. Okay, because it's a global agenda. All right, understand that, right? And there was an article released a while back saying how, the U.S. doesn't want to fall behind to China, okay? With China trying to, be the next world power, okay, and take control on from an economical standpoint, okay? And with them, with them moving to a digital, to a digital society, okay, the US is like, well, we can't just, stand behind and get caught in the rat race. Okay, we got to play along too. Okay, so what they're doing is they're using this, right, getting people ready for this digital central bank digital currency that is going to be stored on that motb. Okay, whether you believe it or not, man, the proof is in the pudding. Okay, when you actually research and you dig deeper, okay, than surface level, right, you understand and see how they want these things to be. This is the reason why, NFTs, right, digital art, all right, digital concerts, man, all these things have just grown since this pandemic, okay, because this is where we're at, right? But that was just a quick update, touching, all right, on the third woe as well as that motb, okay, and how the Most High about to turn it all the way up, okay? He's about to turn things all the way up, all right? So, to you brothers and sisters out there, all right, of the hopeful elect, all right, stay diligent, okay? Stay prayed up, all right? Stay ready because it's about to go down, all right? It's about to go down, okay? So I give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Wahawar Kakadash, Shalom to the next one.